What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of Parents Under the Stairs, and we are here with our son again, Jack. What's up, Jack? And the beautiful, beautiful Presley.
Hello, guys.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I've been itching to get a new episode out, so this is fun.
Yeah, we're recording midweek. We usually record on Sundays, but
we got plans for this Sunday, though.
Yeah, we got plans. We got a big episode with guests, so stay tuned for that. All right, so our topic is going to be 90s horror films, and yeah, do you want to go first or me?
Sure. So, Arachnophobia, 1990, directed by Frank Marshall. Who's the main guy in that? Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Dumb and Dumber dude?
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. I love him.
Yeah, pretty Dumb and Dumber, right? Because Dumb and Dumber wasn't... What year was Dumb and Dumber?
93?
Yeah.
94? Yeah.
So, I mean, he must have been, like... He was a pretty big actor, because he was also in Speed.
Yeah, and then Jim Carrey was, like... That's when he was, like, blowing up.
Yeah.
So they were like, you know what we should do? A dumbass movie. I read that, like, people do serious drama roles, and then typically the next thing they jump into is, like, a comedy.
It's kind of like the reverse with some comedy actors like Jim Carrey. He just does dramas now and shit.
He does a lot these days.
Yeah.
A lot of random shit. But no, Arachnophobia was like a big staple in my childhood because I didn't have access to a lot of horror movies, but I had that one. And it's like a great cast too. Like Jeff Bridges, not John Candy.
Oh, John Goodman?
Sully. Yeah, John Goodman.
Yeah, he was in that.
He was the, like, exterminator.
Yeah.
I was going to say Terminator.
And it was crazy. I remember, like, last time I watched it, I was like, this would be really cool if it was in 3D, just because there was a lot of, like, spiders jumping out at you.
And those bitches are huge.
And there's, like, a lot of cool, like, shots with, like, the spider webs that are just, like, out of control and stuff in the attic.
There was a lot going on in that movie. It was so good.
Yeah. And it was on TV a lot after a while, too.
Oh, yeah. It was on TNT.
Yeah,
AMC.
That's where I remember it, too.
Yeah. No, I watched it a lot because it was good. In my head, it was like a horror movie, so that's why I loved it so much.
Yeah, and I guess it's a horror comedy. I guess you consider that. But kind of goes into my movie, 1999, Idle Hands, directed by Robert Fendler. Now, this movie's... I think when I first saw it, I didn't even think of it as a horror movie. I just thought of it as straight up comedy. But when I really think about it now, it's basically a rough sequel to The Evil Dead, if you really want to go there. Because, I mean, think about it.
That's a reach.
Think about it. You got the dead coming back to life. You got the hand, the possessed hand. I don't know. There was some people that worked on Idle Hands that I think said that they wanted it to be in the Evil Dead universe, but that's maybe just wishful thinking for me. But I think it's a great movie. It's got Devon Sawa's in it. Who else is in this one?
Jessica Alba.
Seth Green is hilarious in it. I don't remember what's the big guy, the big stoner guy.
We all know him from everything.
He was in
everything
in the 90s.
Yeah,
it's great special effects when he gets the bottle in his head. Do you remember that?
I love that part. Yeah. Doesn't one of them get decapitated? I haven't seen that movie since.
I think he does. So he's like his neck is like flapped open.
It's fucking weird.
It's great, and it's humorous and stoner comedy for sure. Like half of the jokes are definitely weed jokes or sex jokes or poop jokes. So it's right up your alley if you're my age. How old was I during Idle Hands? I must have been like 12. Yeah, I was like 12 or whatever. This is one of those movies that I got my parents to rent, me and my friends, and we just ate a shit ton of candy and just laughed our asses off at it. And I think back then you would usually, when you watch something you liked on VHS or whatever, you would just rewind it and watch it again and again, like kids did at least. So we watched this one a lot.
It reminds me of Living with Candace, because someone rented it, and like when I lived with my mom, it was like a lawless land, like everything went, so you could do pretty much anything. And like, say you're watching something gross, you wouldn't have to turn it off. They'd just be like, "Oh, gross!" Like you're too young for this. It was just like, "Oh, why are you watching this?" And then walk away. Like, all right, great parenting, but no, it was good. It just reminds me of that.
Yep. You lived in the house of, like, I was jealous of my friends whose parents would let them do that stuff. But
Yeah, what are you watching? All right, proceed. So, my next movie, speaking of Candace, that's my mom, The Faculty. So, this came out in 1996, directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Hell yeah.
So, it's an alien movie, pretty much, and then it's like kind of like a whodunit too, or like, the paranoia type situation
like
going
Body
on.
Snatchers style.
Yeah, pretty much.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And then some elements of The Thing, because they do the tests and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I watched this when I was way too young. We rented it, and it was probably like 98. Do you ever have those weird memories where you like don't remember everything, but you know what happened?
Yeah.
Like kind of when you first start remembering things. So it was like the shower scene, and we were all watching it in my dad's room, and it was me and all my brothers and my mom. And he was pissed because he was one that was like, you can't watch this shit. So he comes in, he's like mad, and we're just like, oh yeah, sorry. But it just reminds me of like old family times. But it's a really good movie. Like I watched it again pretty recently, like a few years ago. But it's good.
I think most people would say like the CGI doesn't hold up, but like if you were to redo the CGI in that movie, it would be like a perfect alien horror movie.
I think I liked the creature. It was like huge and like scary enough, you know, and it could like shrink down. I think it did what it needed to do.
I think it's just one of those movies where there were certain shots in the movie where it didn't look as good as it did in other shots. Like,
yeah, for sure.
So it would be cool if someone like, I don't know, remastered it, but what's the point? Was Seth Green in that one too? I could be wrong.
No, Elijah Wood.
Okay, it was Elijah Wood, Josh Hartnett. Trying to remember some of the other actors, but drawing a blank.
Yeah, there's a few like memorable faces, but
wasn't Robert Patrick?
Yeah.
One of the teachers.
Yeah, he was. He was a gym teacher or the coach or something.
The coach, yeah. Yeah, he was in a lot of cool '90s movies.
What's up, Jack?
I'm gonna go get him some snacks. Stand by. Did you know Arachnophobia is gonna get remade?
No.
Yeah, I saw a poster for something like that.
It's kind of weird. Some of those movies I feel like are...
That's gonna get CGI'd to shit.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like, those movies are like lightning in a bottle. Like, it's just kind of lucky that it worked out the way it did. It was the right chemistry, right actors and stuff. Like,
yeah.
You can't really recreate that too easy. So this is another one that goes into my childhood. I mean, these are a lot of childhood favorites because this is stuff that our parents were probably renting when we were kids. But Tremors 1 from 1990 and Tremors 2 from 96. Big deal at my house. Like the Tremors, the Graboids, which is what they call them in the movie. People ended up calling them Tremors a lot, but they're really called Graboids in the movie. I think Tremors is just, they're making earthquakes. So yeah. But it's weird because there's no tremors really in the second one. Well, you get some of the Graboids from the first one, but they've evolved into walking, like these weird walking tremors. I actually think it's a lot of fun. I really like sequels that kind of go off the rails and like bring in new characters and new actors and stuff. Like I really love the Wrong Turn sequels, and I love the Tremors sequels and the Feast sequels. So I really like Tremors because if you look at what they do with each sequel, it gets more and more batshit to the point where they go to the Wild Wild West, and like I haven't seen the one on the island yet, and I haven't seen the one that's on the in the snow yet, but I really want to see those ones.
There's one on an island?
I think so, yeah. I think that might be the newest one. I haven't really been keeping up, but Tremors always holds a spot in my heart, so for sure.
It's like Sandworms. It reminds me of like Dune or like Beetlejuice, like shit like that. But it's very original.
Yeah, and those special effects. I can't remember if it was Stan Winston or some big effects guy that did those, but like shit looks really real, and it was like just really believable for me. I remember even when I saw the original, I was like, how did I not know this existed yet, even though I was a kid?
They were actual sandworms.
It looked like it, I mean, you go into some really bad CGI once you start getting into like 3 and stuff. They still do the practical effects in some of the movies, like in the sequels, but they definitely bring in some shit CGI, like some Sci-Fi Channel era stuff. So anyway, go on to your next one.
So my next one is this. I I think it's like kind of well known, but it's not talked about a lot. It's called Dolly Dearest, and it was made in 1991 and directed by Maria Leese. But this is like, I only found out about this movie because I had a babysitter and she had a VHS and it had Dolly Dearest and the next movie I'm going to talk about. And this movie was like really good. I haven't seen it since I was like probably my oldest son's age, and he's like 10 now, but I used to watch it over and over and over again. Like I'd do this one and the next one as like a double feature, and it was just crazy because like, you know, you can have multiple things on like a VHS or whatever. So yeah, just like Evil Doll comes to life, except I think they're like in Mexico or something. I think it takes place in Mexico, and it's like a Mexican curse, and it brings this doll back to life, and it makes this little girl evil. Like, it's a wild ride, and I think it's it's not pre-Chucky. It's like around the same time the Chucky franchise was taking off a lot, but it's a new spin, because like Chucky's voodoo, and this was like a curse. I
always mixed it up with Stuart Gordon's dolls, because they were like always right next to each other on the shelf. I've never seen that one. That one's pretty cool. I've never seen Dolly Dearest, actually, but I always saw the cover, and it always looked cool.
Yeah, like, it's so funny, because, like, it's like a cute little doll, but, like, when it comes to life, it's like a haggard old woman.
Yeah, I've seen that on the cover.
Yeah, it's wild. But awesome. No, it's really, we have to watch it.
All right.
Double feature. We can watch Dolls and Dolly Dearest.
We'll do. I've noticed that a lot of these movies either are like the very beginning of the 90s or the very end.
Yeah, like 99.
It's crazy. So yeah, I'm going to go back into a 1990 film. That's going to be the Tom Savini remake of Night of the Living Dead, which I think holds a match up to the original. It's a classic zombie film. Especially from the 90s, there wasn't a lot of zombie movies to go off back then except for the original Romero films. And Tom Savini just goes at it very matter-of-fact like, but he changes the characters a little bit. He makes Barbara he makes her like a very strong, heroic woman, where in the original she's a very weak, scared woman. And he does Ken Foree plays the other character, the other hero in the film. I forgot his name. So yeah, there's really cool casting, and the gore is tremendous. It's just some of the best. It's Tom Savini directed. What can you expect from that? So the original Night of the Living Dead, they did show some stuff, and for the time it was pretty graphic, but like this one shows everything. So
I haven't seen this one.
Oh, it's so good. We gotta watch it.
Do we have it? I feel like we have. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to watch it.
Yeah, we do. I'm looking at it right now.
Child's Play 3, 1991, directed by Jeff Bender. And yeah, like I said earlier, this and Dolly Dearest were on a VHS tape that my babysitter had for whatever reason, and she kept bringing it over to the house. So I was like, fuck yeah. 'Cause I was super young and just starting to get into horror movies. Chucky was one of my favorite things. And it was so ridiculous because like her grandson, who's like 3 years younger than me, we would watch this and he would just like say all the bad words in it, and I was like, oh my god, because I did not cuss. I was a saint of a child.
Good job.
Yeah, but no, this movie brings back a lot of memories and it's fun enough. Like Chucky's more animated, I guess, from like the first one to the third one.
Yeah,
they kind of like perfect the craft a little more, so he's more like in it more, you know.
I don't think this movie gets enough love, for sure.
I don't think so either.
It's got some really cool scenes, especially the paintball scene is the most memorable. But
oh, I know, when they murk that dude up.
Yeah,
I love
but it's just cool because it takes place. There's a different setting where the first two are pretty standard setting. This one's in a military boot camp kind of thing. So it's definitely one to check out.
The garbage truck killing, like, I'm still terrified of garbage trucks because of it. When he like smooshes the guy and I'm like, no. It scares me still. I love it.
Yeah. I actually might like it better than the second one. But I've just seen
don't
the second one so many freaking times.
Because of our child.
Yeah. My next one is going to be Brain Scan from 1990, directed by John Flynn. Have you ever seen this one?
No, I haven't. I've seen the cover a lot.
Oh, it's cool. It's about it's Edward Furlong plays the main character, and he's kind of a geek. He's staying home alone at his parents' house, and he's got this computer set up that he's obsessed with computer games, and he just sits in there and plays computer games all day. He gets this virtual reality style game called Brain Scan that if you play it, you actually go into like a simulation where you're murdering somebody. But when you turn the game off, like the murders have actually occurred. And he really likes the game until he figures out that it's actually murdering people. Then he wants to stop. And this maniacal, like little, I don't even know what you'd call him. He's just a weird dude, but like he's freaky looking. Jumps out and he's basically just encouraging him to murder and shit like that. So it's got a really good soundtrack. And yeah, it's really, really dark vibes. At first you think it's going to be kind of funny and stuff. It's even got like some cool music in it, like Primus, but like it's after a while you start feeling really bad for Edward Furlong. He's kind of just trapped in this nightmare and can't get out. So
I mix up this movie and Scanners.
Oh yeah, very different.
Yeah, I think it's just the scan part. Like, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. So my next pick is The Paperboy, 1994, directed by Douglas Jackson. 94, the year I was born. Holla, you were already in your mid-20s. I'm sorry, I love you. Okay, so this movie, in my opinion, does not get talked about enough.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it.
No.
I don't even think you've heard of it before I mentioned it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and this was like a staple in my childhood. This was one I rented from the little video store Top Notch a lot. It's pretty much about this teenager who's obsessed with his neighbor's daughter, and he just starts killing bitches. And it's crazy because like the beginning, he's like, I don't know, he does a murder and then he just goes and delivers papers. It's so cheesy, but it's so good because the actor who plays him is like a little psycho, and he has like those little freak out tantrums and stuff. I've seen it probably like 30 times.
I need to see this.
It's
You've talked about it so
good.
much.
I love it so much. And there's like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a perfect movie, but it's a perfect movie to me.
Nice.
Like, yeah, slasher, teen angst, except it's deadly.
Cool. Love some killer kid movies. That's a future topic too. We're gonna do a killer kid episode
For days. Oh my god, it'd be so fun to have Thomas on that episode.
Yeah. My next pick's gonna be People Under the Stairs, 1991, Wes Craven. It's the movie that we named our show after. It's something that we watch at least once a year, I would say.
When we had COVID,
we just watched
turned it on.
When we had COVID. It's great. It's kind of like a Home Alone for adults, I would say, just because it's a kid creeping around a house with two adults chasing him around. Like,
yeah, two fucked up adults. It has a very dark undertone to it.
Yeah,
having a kid like main character.
Yeah, I mean the dude's in a gimp suit.
Yeah.
Like with a shotgun chasing him around. It must have been terrifying for that little kid.
I know.
I'm sure they shot it in a way that it wasn't too traumatic for him. But anyway, it's just a kid is told that there's a big cash. I don't know what you call it. They have like a bunch of
like a fortune hidden.
Yeah, a fortune. There you go.
Yeah.
Hidden away, and he tries to break into the house and get it, but it's a lot more protected than you'd think. There's a dog and a bunch of traps and
bunch of people under the
stairs, which he ends up befriending and getting them to help him because
Flea. Okay, yeah. He terrified me when I was little though. He looked scary.
Yeah.
They all look scary.
Yeah, the makeup's really cool. Yeah, they don't even look human anymore, and it's crazy that being under the stairs in the dark so long can like mutate you like that. But I don't know, maybe there's more to that story.
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah. So, People Under the Stairs is 1991's one of the best 90s horror films.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's not even too scary. It's like a thriller. It's like a weird thriller.
And it's feels like something that could have happened in real life.
Yeah.
Too, especially like with the social commentary you get at the end of just because they're landlords and they're slumlords basically trying to fuck over a whole community of people.
Yeah, trying to get people to move out of this building, like, it's a lot, but it's so fucking good.
Yep.
So my last pick, I fucking hate this movie, but Nothing But Trouble. I feel like we've talked about this before.
We might have brought it up on the show, but
yeah, but no,
no rules against that. So.
Oh my god, I still can't even. We watched it recently, and I hadn't watched it in probably like 15 years, if not longer. I'm 27. No, probably longer, like 20 years. I saw it on fucking HBO late one night, and I've never been the same since.
It's so good.
It's horrifying. It's like a comedy where, like...
yeah, it's not that funny, but...
No, it's so
wants
it's
to be.
scary. It's just... It's like House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah. Yeah, people compare it to House of a Thousand Corpses, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's just about a group of rich city folk that get caught up in a small town, if you want to call it, but it's really just this mansion with a junkyard in the back that goes on for forever. And there's all these interesting characters in there that are a family.
And those random mutants that work in the yard.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it for me.
It was the radiated hot dogs for me. You know, like I couldn't, I swear my mom fed us bratwurst that night and I puked them up. But that could just be in my mind. I don't know.
The nose coming off. Fuck that. That whole movie is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
But you got to give it up for Tupac and Digital Underground.
R.I.P.
Yeah, they got a big part in that movie. So
it's so good. And then Dan Aykroyd just busting it out on the keys, and then Tupac's like,
yeah, he's like, whoa!
I love that part.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts for sure. My last one's going to be Peter Jackson, 1996, The Frighteners. This movie was another one that my dad rented us. I think it's PG-13, so he probably thought it was okay to watch, and it probably is. It's just the Grim Reaper is coming for everybody in a small town. Michael J. Fox can see who's next on the Grim Reaper's list. He enlists a couple of ghosts to help him out and saving people. Everyone in town thinks he's a hacky, like, paranormal investigator. It's a lot of fun. It's more of a comedy, I think, than it would be a horror, but it's got Jeffrey Combs plays the detective. You know,
Cat dead, details later.
Yeah, Reanimator fame. I feel like Gary Busey's in it. Of course, Michael J. Fox. So there's just a lot of fun to be had, and I think thanks, Jack. I think the CGI ghost effects still kind of hold up, even though they were pretty early at the time. I think it looks pretty good. The Frighteners. I think you could show your kids this one for sure.
Maybe not at night.
Yeah, maybe not. It did not scare us at all, though. Anyway.
I feel like you were probably already seasoned a little bit with horror movies.
Maybe. Well, our kid is like trying to get us to stop recording, but I just really want to go really quick into my last two runner-ups. It's going to be Alien 3, 1992 from David Fincher. I thought it was a really original take on the series, even though it gets a lot of hate. There's a director's cut that's pretty entertaining because it has a lot of new parts that kind of fill in the blanks, and some things are improved. Also, Army of Darkness, Sam Raimi, 1992. I think I brought it up on the show before. It's just a fucking classic. Also a lot of fun. Everything on my list, I think, is just really fun movies. So, and your list is a lot of fun as well.
All right. Thank you for watching.
Baby says stop recording, so we're stopping the recording.
Mwah.
Have a good one.